let's talk about diversity, equity, and inclusion. If your company is not involved in diversity, equity, inclusion, DEI work right now, you are totally behind the curve and you need to do that because that is most every company that I work with and speak with. They are very much so into this diversity work, and it's an important work to do right now for so many reasons. And I'm not going to go into what that work might entail on a tactical and strategic level, but I wanted to address the mistake that I see so many companies do when it comes to the diversity work necessary. The mistake is that our minds have a tendency of mixing two very different concepts, which is the question of belonging and the question of fitting in. And what I wanted to jump on and really have you question within yourself is whether or not you dismiss people for not fitting in so that you actually forget that they still belong. If they are there, they belong. And it's your job as a leader, as a co-human being in the world, to have other people know that they belong. You belong. And so when you have that sense of you belonging, this is one of the biggest fears that we have as humans. We have three universal fears. One of them is the fear of not belonging. And it's not the same as the fear of not fitting in. It's important that you hear and recognize the difference. We have a fundamental fear of not belonging. It goes back to our survival instinct, and it's still a survival instinct to this day. We have the right to belong, and we need to create workspaces where even though you might not fit in, you still belong. What does that mean to you? And how can you take this distinction that you might not have thought about before and make that practical within your work? I hear a lot of complaints when it comes to the diversity, equity, and inclusion work that, well, now when we have such and such people, in other words, not white men, we don't have the same kind of banter and camaraderie as we had before. And I'm like, well, okay, let's take this from the top. Not everyone relates to everyone else in the same way. Have you noticed? And it's actually quite fun to find new ways to relate to people and not just rest on our old ways, our old patterns, and the people that are just the same as we are. In other words, we fit in. We have the same fit. So we actually have to grow a pair, and we have to grow up. We have to grow everything and grow into maturity and see that even though someone might not play golf, like derogatory comments and jokes, whatever it is that's been keeping you in your camaraderie, it doesn't mean that they don't belong. They don't have to fit in. In fact, there are a lot of people who don't want to fit in. They don't want to be part of your club in the fitting in sense, but they do want to belong. That's their right. It's your right. And now that you know better, you can do better by finding a way to implement this distinction in the way that you look at people around you. And remember that this is applicable not only within a company, but also in a family. You might have a teenager that is rebelling with, purple hair and weird nose rings. Who knows? They might not fit in to the idea of how, your little daughter was supposed to look when she was 18, but she still belongs. This is the difference. And this is our job as great leaders and as great human beings, to make people feel like they belong. And it starts within yourself. Your job is actually first and foremost to understand deeply that you belong and you don't have to fit in. That's okay. In fact, I love people that stick out and they don't fit in. Why not? We're here to be our unique selves. So I hope that distinction is helpful, both on a personal level and on a leadership level, because we can't do this super important job of diversity, equity, and inclusion if we don't get that there is a huge difference between the two. So again, I hope that's helpful, and I'll see you around. All right. Bye.